Okay, welcome. My name's Chuck Ridgway. I'm the Automation Technology Manager here at Horner. I guess that's what I am. Wear a lot of hats like a lot of us here. Today, I'm excited to talk to you about going big. We're going to talk a lot about our largest all-in-one controller, the 15-inch XL Plus. So it's a product that is probably not as well known by a lot of our customers. But joining me today to tell you all about this product is Casey Gardner. How's it going today, Casey?
Hey, not too bad. How's it going, Jack?
It's going pretty well. One of the interesting things about the XL Plus that also is not very well known is it's the first multi-core processor that we've used inside of one of our controllers.
So what does that mean actually in terms of performance for our end users?
Well, what it allows the unit to do is to separate out the logic to be run in one core, for instance, with graphics in the other core. Now, we've got a lot of optimization to do that we have not completed yet. So when Seascape 10 is available, we've got a new firmware set that will really unlock the true multi-core capability in the XL Plus.
So they can use today still to get some performance enhancements, right?
Absolutely. I mean, today it's already anywhere between 50 and 80% faster than the standard XL series, like an XL7, for instance, mainly because it's just got that extra horsepower. But again, as soon as we get that firmware finished and launched with Seascape 10, it's going to have even greater performance.
It's pretty crazy because our XL series is already pretty quick. So maybe let's talk about some features that they can already use today.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. All right. Again, time to go big with the 15-inch XL Plus. Okay, so let's start out with its size. Obviously, it has a 15-inch screen that's 15 inches diagonal. It's about 12 and a half inches tall, 14 and a half inches wide, and about 3 inches deep. If you take a look at the back of the unit, you can see that the main unit itself, which contains all the processing power and all that sort of thing, actually only makes up a relatively small part of the overall real estate. I've got a unit here in front of me that I'll just go ahead and show you. So here we are looking at the back of a 15-inch XL Plus. You can see this is kind of the main control unit here. Now it's all in one piece, but of course it was designed and manufactured originally in two pieces that we assemble at the factory. This is the steel reinforced outer body, if you will. If you take a look at the size of this guy here, I'm going to go ahead and hold up this is a 6-inch standard EXL6 Horner all-in-one controller. As you can see, it's basically the same cutout as the XL Plus. That makes it pretty versatile from the standpoint of being able to fit it in areas where maybe you don't have a ton of space inside the panel. You don't necessarily need to have a big area to put that control unit. That cutout is considerably smaller than the overall unit itself. Okay, so what that also means is that you don't necessarily have to have a perfect cutout hole in order to use this product. It's double gasketed, and we'll show you that here in a minute. But because of the fact that the control unit is so much smaller than the overall unit, this unit can effectively be used with cutouts from when you're retrofitting other sized units. So let's say you've got a machine, it was designed with a 5-inch or an 8-inch or even a 12-inch controller. Maybe it's an operator interface from another manufacturer. You want to upgrade the machine. Of course, the best thing to always do is replace the door with a new door, because with most enclosures you can do that. Cut out a new hole and away you go. But because of the flexibility of the XL Plus, there's a pretty good chance that you can just use the existing hole and then adapt it from there. Again, it's the double gasketing that makes that work. It has a gasket along the outer layer that is required to be used if you've got either a washdown application, NEMA 4X for instance, or a scenario where you don't have a perfect sized cutout for the control unit. If you do have a perfect sized cutout for the control unit and it's not a washdown type application, you can utilize just the inner gasket of the XL Plus. So let's take a closer look at that now. Okay, so if we take a look, you can see here we've got the outer gasketing, which is what is required again if you've got a washdown application or if you're not using a perfectly sized cutout. And then we've got this inner gasket here that is used, really is all you need for a NEMA 12 oil tight type application, if you've got, especially if you've got the perfect size hole. Okay, so that's what it looks like from the back. Okay, now there's some other accessories that are included in the box, again, to adapt to all these different installation options. You can see around the perimeter there, you've got some studs that have been installed. Those come loose inside of a package of hardware in the box, and you only need to use those studs, again, if you've got a washdown type application, or if you're retrofitting the unit and the hole that the control unit fits through is significantly larger than the right size. If you don't have that scenario, if you're cutting a new hole and it's an oil tight application, you cut the right size hole and you can utilize clamps. And then we also have an optional stiffener that really should only be used if you've got, a real flimsy, thin gauged metal enclosure door. Okay. All right, from a video standpoint or a graphic standpoint, this unit has a pretty significant upgrade over what we can do with, for instance, the XL series products. The screen is just not only bigger, but it's got support for more fonts, more color depth. It's a nice bright screen. It's got video capabilities over and above what the standard XL series can do, and we'll show those off here in a little bit. And even though it is not a multi-touch touchscreen, it is a product that will support gestures such as swiping and flicking, again, when we release a new firmware set with a new graphics capabilities with Seascape 10. Now let me take you on a little tour of all the connections that are available on the XL Plus, because that's another area where it really shines. So let's start with this side. Okay, we've got power and CAN, and then you'll notice 3 RJ ports. Those are all serial ports, MJ1, MJ2, and MJ3. All right, let's take a look at the other side. We'll come back to the bottom there. Okay, here we've got micro SD slot. Next to that, left to right, we've got the mini USB connector for programming purposes. We've got a CAN port. That's actually the second CAN port. There's actually 2 CAN ports on the 15-inch XL Plus. And then you see a USB-A port, which all of our units that are, XL4s and up feature. Now let's take a closer look at the ports on the bottom, because there you'll see some differentiators there. Okay, so the first differentiator is 2 additional USB-A ports. So the XL Plus 15-inch has 3 total. So that means you can do things like, connect a external USB camera. You can connect flash drives for data storage. And we've got a whole variety of additional drivers that we'll be adding to the product over time. Moving on, you'll see we've got a couple of microphone and headphone looking jacks. And matter of fact, that's what they are. A mic input and an audio output. Now the microphone input is not active. It doesn't have any functionality today. However, the audio output does. So just like you can do with the XL7 and the EXL10, it does have audio output capability, and we'll be showing you that here in a little bit. And then, like all of our units that are part of the XL series or and our 10 inches, and our 7 inches and larger, we have 2 full Ethernet ports Again, not just a built-in switch, but 2 full Ethernet ports. And then another real differentiator here is this digital video output port. So this is the really the only XL series product that we have that has a digital video a digital video port on it. And that allows you to effectively mirror the screen on a larger or a secondary monitor. So some people have used this to connect to, larger, let's say 65-inch monitors or televisions for a control room, for instance, or as a marquee. So that's a unique capability of the XL Plus. All right, now I'm taking a look at the back here. You'll notice that's the standard XL Series I/O. So again, with the XL Plus product, you have the ability to order it with either the Model 2 I/O all the way through the Model 6 I/O, and you can even get it without I/O as well. Okay, so on those 2 Ethernet ports that I showed you, you can support just a whole variety of industrial protocols, as well as protocols for sending email, for doing web browsing or remote control using WebMI. Not really web browsing, web hosting, really. You can access all the files on the built-in micro SD slot as long as you've got a card installed over FTP. And because of the fact that it is a high-performing unit, just like all of our XL Series unit, but this unit even more so, we can support up to 16 simultaneous protocols, which is really significantly more than what you'll find with a lot of our competitors. And getting back to what Casey and I were talking about at the beginning of the program, we've got a high-performance system on module that's built around a multi-core CPU with an advanced graphics coprocessor. And we're really excited that in the upcoming weeks and months, we're going to be finally unlocking the real capability in this product from the standpoint of graphics and from the standpoint of just optimizing the performance of not only graphics, but also of the control engine. So the logic engine will be even faster than it is today with optimized firmware, and it will be especially, I would say, more consistent in terms of its scan rates. The scan rates will be a little bit more consistent. Today, they're fairly consistent, don't get me wrong, but once we dedicate a core to the logic, you're going to see significant improvement as well in terms of the consistency of the scan rate. Now, getting back to the I/O I was talking about before, again, because it's an XL Series product, we've got the capability to order it from the factory with your choice of I/O modules. And you can see, you can also get it with no I/O built in. And we have had several customers that have ordered it that way. In their applications, they've decided that they wanted to have all the I/O remote and not necessarily have it built in. But one advantage I will tell you about, even if you're using remote I/O, there's not a big cost difference in terms of ordering a unit with no I/O and ordering the Model 2. I mean, the Model 2, for not a whole lot more money, gives you 12 digital inputs, 6 relay outputs, and 4 analog inputs. It also gives you really, really powerful high-speed counting capability. So even if a bulk of your I/O is going to be remote or elsewhere in the panel on the backplate, having that built-in I/O means that if you've got pilot lights or push buttons or other operators on the door, that wiring never has to leave the door. You can wire those operators right to the back of the I/O that's right there on the 15-inch XL Plus, and that's a real advantage. And then the other thing that you get is just terrific built-in high-speed counting capability as well. So we have plenty of customers who will take advantage of that built-in high-speed counter for connecting to encoders and other things, and still use a bulk of their I/O for remote. Getting to that remote I/O that's available, with all of our products, we provide plenty of internal memory to support, 2048 digital ins, 2048 digital outs, 512 analog ins, and 512 analog outs. But with a lot of our products, let's face it, you're not going to connect, 1,000 I/O to an XLE, or probably even not an XL4. Even though the XL4 for sure could certainly handle it. But with a 15-inch XL Plus, it makes a lot of sense to really expand the I/O. And you can do that over the 2 CAN ports. You can also do that using Ethernet with SmartRail. So regardless of the I/O family that you would use to expand the system, whether it's the modular SmartRail, the block style Smart Block, or the terminal block style Smart Sticks, you won't be running out of I/O capability with a 15-inch XL Plus for sure. Another capability the XL Plus has that I didn't mention was it's really good at supporting extra CAN protocols. So because you do have those 2 CAN ports, on the first CAN port you can support remote I/O, using Smart Stick, Smart Rail, etc. But on that second CAN port, you have your choice between CAN Open. Typically, you would use that as a master, or possibly you could use it with J1939, or even DeviceNet, although DeviceNet isn't really used all that heavily anymore. All right, let's take a look at the front of the unit here. Let me go ahead. All right, so I've got just a sample program in here. This is the 15-inch, as you can see, 15-inch XL Plus. Has terrific graphics. A 24-bit color depth really allows to use some really nice images as background in your application. And in this case, we're showing a little bit of live data here. One of the other capabilities that the XL Plus has that's really nice is the ability to play videos. And how useful could that be? Well, frankly, it can be pretty darn useful if you want the ability on a machine to be able to, let's say, show an operator how to load a part. For training a new operator. If you have a maintenance operation that doesn't happen very often, you could have a short video that shows how you can, change a filter, whatever the case may be. So I'm going to go ahead and show that to you now. All right, let's go ahead and switch screens. All right, so what I have here is, this is an area where we have the ability to play video, and I've got a play and a pause button and a volume button. I'm going to go ahead and connect up. Before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and connect up the audio output connection as well. Sorry for that delay there. All right, and let's go ahead and just go ahead and play this video. Now, I just grabbed a video that I had on my computer. It's pretty sizable. I probably would go with a little smaller one if I was, using it for an application like this. So it took, as you saw, it took a few seconds for it to load. But as you can see, it's got some pretty nice capability of playing, videos with some pretty reasonable resolution to it. Let me see if I can, I forgot to turn on the speaker here to show the sound, because it does require a powered speaker. There we go. So yeah, so you do have sound in addition to the video. Of course, you need to utilize the audio output jack for that. Okay, and of course, this isn't a training video. This is just the same video that we use it's the same video that we use as as a lead-in for the webinar, or I'm sorry, for the live streams here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video. All right. Looks like we have a question. Can the video media... Let me go ahead and see if we can get this question on the screen here. It's a very good very good question, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. So I answered in the chat real quick. We'll
okay.
Put it up here.
Very good.
Just as a reference and make it more shareable. But unfortunately, in terms of the media playback, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Chuck, but I believe we only have the ability to play back media located directly on the SD card. So in terms of his question was, can the video media be a network resource or through an IP camera over RTSP? Unfortunately, it would have to be a pre-made media file located locally. We do not have the ability currently to play networkable resource instead.
Absolutely. Your answer is dead on there. However, I will say that has been a highly requested, a very highly requested feature. And I believe with the XL Plus hardware, the capability is there. We just need to, do some firmware work to get it enabled. So I would anticipate that at some point we will certainly be showing network capable video for sure, but not yet, for sure. Can't do it now. One of the things I wanted to show was I wanted to show how I actually set up the video. Let me go ahead and do that now. Let me fire up Seascape here. You should be seeing it on your screen. Let me move this XL Plus out of the way. Okay, so let's take a look at how we actually do the video configuration on the screen. Let me get my mouse here. Finding the mouse is always one of the bigger challenges with these guys. There we go. Okay, so I'm just looking at the first screen now that I created. As you can see, I've got some wallpaper here in the background. I've got 3 data objects. This is all just standard, Horner OCS graphics for, displaying data on the screen. I've got a text object here, and then of course a jump object to jump to another screen. So let's go ahead and take a look at that next screen. Okay, so what I have here then is this is actually a video object. Now the video object is also supported. I'm going to go ahead and get this question out of the way here. Hang on a second. Okay, so the video object actually is supported in the entire XL series from the XL4 on up, and then it's also available in the X5. However, in those products, you're limited to 320 by 240 resolution. With the XL Plus, you can go, full screen if you want, which is 1024 by 768. So when you configure this object, you have 2 options in terms of your video source. And Andy's question about, hey, at what point can we add network capable video? That's definitely something we want to add at some point, but it's not there yet. Oh, and also so you know, when Seascape 10 is released, there's a brand new video object that's been modernized with not only some of the options in terms of configuration, but it's also been modernized for its runtime look as well. But anyway, let's take a look at the current one that we can use today. So we've got our choice between taking the video as a stream from a USB camera or in playing back a file. And that's what I'm doing here. And I've got that file spelled out here in terms of the file name. I could also specify a path. So the micro SD card is the default path for any video files, which is the A drive in the case of the OCS products. In this case, because I'm using the default drive, I didn't bother to put the path in. Okay, and then you have a variable that you need to assign for triggering the actual video itself. So the first trigger bit, if you will, is a play pause button. I'm sorry, a play stop button, which I've actually added here as a separate push button. And then the second bit is a pause and resume button. So I've assigned these trigger bits here, and then I have effectively placed operators, which are not momentary, but are toggle switches to actually handle these functions. And then you also have a status register, which is 16 bits, and that effectively tells you, if the video is playing or not, and gives you some other information as well. Okay. Now, to make it a little more obvious that the user should press play to start the video, I put some text up here, and you'll notice that the text has an X through it. That basically means that sometimes this text is invisible or not visible. So let me double click on here, and you can see that this is the text, of course, that I've assigned to this object. And then I've also, under attributes, I've made the visibility of this text object dynamic. And whenever this variable, the first bit of this variable is on, then I'm going to be displaying this text. Whenever this this bit is off, in other words, then I'm not going to be displaying this text. Now, what controls that bit? Well, I've put just a single rung of logic in my program that basically says if the video is playing, then I'm going to hide this. If the video is not playing, I'm going to show it. So that's basically what I did there. Just a little bit of window dressing, if you will. Okay. And then down here, this is where I've assigned my play and stop button, which again is the first bit that's assigned to the trigger registers, if you will. The pause resume button is the second bit that I assign to those triggers. And then the volume is actually the second status register, I believe, is the volume. Okay? And that's just a value from 0 to 100, and I went ahead and used a slider here. Okay, so that's pretty much what's involved in supporting video on the screen of the XL Plus, and it really works out the same for all of our XL series products, except that when you go down and take a look at the size or the options that you have in terms of what you're allowed to select, you have a lot more choices. So for instance, I could select full screen. I could select a 4:3 aspect ratio, a 16:9 aspect ratio. I've got all those presets. I did a custom size screen before. So if I select 16:9, as you can see, it adjusts it slightly. Okay, and then if I were to do this, I would probably want to go ahead and rearrange things a little bit. I'll go ahead and do that. Let's just go ahead and move these down. All right, give us a little more room for our screen. And so we're not in the way of the text. Okay, so that gives you an idea of, if you select a 16:9 aspect ratio, it actually is a lot easier probably than the way I set it up originally. Okay, so that is the actual run through on how to support video playback on an XL Plus, and you have additional options, including more sizes available, not just quarter VGA, and the ability to play audio in addition to video. If you use, let's say, a video capability in in one of our smaller XL series products, you're limited to video that's 320 by 240. Okay, so that was kind of a run through of the XL Plus. Let me go ahead and bring Casey back in here. All right, if I can find the right button. There we go. That's always fun, trying to find the right button live.
Or your mouse in most cases.
Yeah, right. I have two mice going on. I've got one mouse to run Seascape, another mouse to kind of run the video side of things, and finding the right mouse and finding the mouse pointer is another issue. So, all right. So,
690 cents.
Exactly. So I think that's going to wrap up for today's program. We have another one coming next Tuesday, which we will announce very shortly. And so we look forward to that. So anything else you want to add, Casey?
Not in particular. We got that one question today, and if anybody else has any other questions, feel free to leave them now or after the video in the comment section, and we'll definitely try to get back to you.
Absolutely. And I can't sign out or else I'll get yelled at by Marcy. Let me see. Nope, wrong button. There we go. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, I will mention that in the comment section, you can register to be a Horner user if you are not currently a Horner user. And again, we won't flood you with emails. And there's also several links on the XL Plus, including the product page on our website, including some of the user documentation, all that sort of good thing. So there's lots of options, lots of links in the comment section. Well, thanks for your help, Casey. Have a good day, and we'll see everybody next week on Tuesday.
Thanks. Talk to you guys soon.